It means under Donald Trump's new plan, you would make an extra $1,100. That's significant, right? So $46,360 versus $45,260. All right. So there's no question that this ends up with more money in people's pockets. And that's a good thing, right? I love more money in people's pockets. But what are we trying to incentivize? This is why I feel like this is a less good thing. Thursday, Donald Trump made two major announcements, and one was at a press conference or kind of a speaking gig, a press conference, whatever you want to call it. The other one was on True Social, and there are times when Donald Trump does stuff that I think is good, and there's stuff that I think he does that's less good. There are some things that he does that are bad. For example, when he was talking about gun control and he said, I think we take the guns first and then go do the mental kind of examination. We covered it live when that happened when he was president very early on in his presidency. And we're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And he since changed that position. Right. But I think in kind of stream of consciousness, he was thinking like, oh, man, if these people are crazy, we got to get the guns out of their hands and then go help them. And I was like, that came out wrong, though. You said go take people's guns without any kind of an understanding of whether they should have firearms or not. Hint, they should probably have firearms in most cases. But if they're actually, crazy and they're going to go, shoot people, then fine. I understand we have to talk about that. So sometimes there's bad Trump, but good Trump, less good Trump. So here's the the first policy announcement. No taxes on overtime. And he made the announcement in Tucson, Arizona.
Today, I'm also announcing that as part of our additional tax cuts, we will end all taxes on overtime. You know what that means?
It means no taxes on overtime?
That gives people more of an incentive to work. It gives the companies it's a lot easier to get the people. And, I went to some economists, great ones, and I said, what do you think? They said, it would be unbelievable. You'll get a whole new workforce by doing that. No taxes on overtime.
Okay. You might have an opinion about that differs from mine or from Lane's or from Josh's. Tim, we'll see how you feel about this. Actually, you have an interesting story. We'll get to it in a minute on this, how this would have impacted you personally.
Forgot.
So, yeah, you got to make sure you remember that. So, look, here's why it's potentially good, right? It leads to Trump. Oh, do that again?
Again, come on, man.
No, you got to own this. Not why it's potentially good. It's why you think it. You have to own this.
I don't own this. I don't think it's good.
Then you wouldn't put up good Trump.
No, but this is what I'm saying is it potentially...
That's a really bad Trump.
No, that's not. It's less good. Less good.
It's the first time we've ran this segment. We'll get it.
That's your voice, Gerald.
Trump.
That's good Trump. Does his halo move? Like
Yes.
it stays centered and then it gets kind of out here?
Yes.
That's so silly. All right, so let me just tell you a little bit about why this could potentially be good, and I'll give you my opinion, which is what I was going to do in the first place. It leads to higher overall income, right? That seems pretty self-explanatory, right? If you make $47,000 a year, you're in the 12% tax bracket, right? But that's at the top of the bracket. After tax, you net $41,360. Add $5,000 in overtime, now you've got $52,000 in earnings, but that other $5,000 goes into the next highest tax bracket of 22%. Because we have a progressive system, the rest of your income is taxed at the other percentage. But net after taxes is $45,260. Okay, what does that mean? It means under Donald Trump's new plan, you would make an extra $1,100. That's significant, right? So $46,360 versus $45,260. All right, so there's no question that this ends up with more money in people's pockets. And that's a good thing, right? I love more money in people's pockets, but what are we trying to incentivize? This is why I feel like this is a less good thing. I'm not 100% sure.
Trump.
Right. I like the idea, generally speaking, we talked about this earlier, and I think that was a good point. I like the idea of you getting to keep more of your money. But why are we segmenting out this particular piece of your income and not the rest of it? What makes this piece different? I understand the no tax on tips thing because of how people are paid that get tips as part of their pay. Because restaurants basically pay you $2, $3 an hour and tips cover that. They know it, so their labor costs are incredibly low. So I understand helping kind of fix that situation. There's a bunch of stuff you could do there to make that better for people who work and depend on tips. But I don't understand it necessarily for overtime. What?
I do.
What am I missing?
I get it.
No. Why is overtime special? But why is overtime special?
I'll answer this question and let Tim tell his story.
Yeah, because his story, I think, is good.
I think this is a fairly easy explanation, actually. the idea would be.
Did you just call me stupid?
No, I don't think so. But I think
That's kind of what
I think you are. I don't want to say you're too intelligent, but I think you're thinking a little too.
He's lane-splaining.
Go with that. Let's go with that.
I think you're thinking a little too hard about this because
Okay.
if ideally the income tax, we'd all like it to be zero. But that's a really hard proposition to actually drive, and there's going to be a lot of people that push back against that say, okay, well, the government has to have some revenue, XYZ, our deficit would balloon. It's going to be very easy to pick that apart, and it's never going to fly through. This is like, well, this is income that didn't even exist, and you're already working more than what the federal government has established as a full-time job.
Which is crap.
Okay, anyway.
No. I'm
Off the rails. My train. Got to put it back on? Here we are.
Sorry.
No, we're good. So this is extra income. So if you propose not taxing that extra income that you're working more to provide yourself, it's going to be very hard politically for somebody to push back on that and say, well, actually, Trump, no, that's a bad idea. And he's like, why? You don't want these workers who are working extra hard to keep their money? Sounds like you don't care about the American worker. So I think this plays very well in Michigan. It plays very well with the unions in Pennsylvania. Who can push back against this without sounding kind of like a jerk? Even if you're correct, the first instinct that most people are going to have is, well, why do you care? I'm already working more than I am supposed to work.
Well, and I on that front, like politically, of course, like this is a great idea politically, right? What's the over under on how long it's going to be until Kamala Harris proposes no tax on overtime? Like this is going to go the same kind of direction. So politically, I completely understand it. What I'm wondering is just purely from an economics standpoint, what are we trying to accomplish here? Right. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's because it's feasible and we're taking steps to getting towards a better tax code that incentivizes people to go out and spend the money that they earn instead of giving it all to the government to be wasted. So I can understand that. So maybe this is incremental. But until I understand it a little bit more, I'm still going with less good because I'm not 100. And I used to work and like get overtime, and that was fantastic as an employee. So I completely understand this. My question, though, is that if people have a bunch of overtime and you're incentivizing overtime and you have more people getting overtime, don't we have fewer people working in the workforce, right? Because it's somebody working overtime instead of a new hire. And I understand if it's seasonal, you don't want to have a new hire just for like, a month or two or something like that. You maybe just say, hey, overtime.
I don't think that's
right?
necessarily the case, though. I don't think it's.
No?
Yeah, no,
Well, you need extra labor. That's the whole point of overtime. I need more than the 40 hours a week times however many employees I have.
Then you got businesses that have trouble hiring.
They do. Yeah.
Like I spent a lot of time in the service industry, and you have heavy turnover. And
huge
people
turnover.
People just suck and they don't want to work. A lot of people don't want to work. A lot of people work two jobs, or they just don't want to work overtime, or they don't want to work certain shifts and stuff. And a lot of times you have a problem with.
That's true.
You can't hire somebody new, not because you can't afford it, but because you can't find somebody.
Right.
And you need somebody to work the extra shift or work their Saturday shift or whatever. And now this gives somebody an incentive because the employer doesn't have to pay extra, but the employee is getting extra.
I agree with you, and
that's a good question.
I do want to foreshadow a little something because I can see us in our next segment. People are going to be like, "Well, why is Josh making that argument? You agree with them here, but not illegals taking. They just want to work hard too. It's different. We'll get to that. I agree with Josh.
It's absolutely different.
Well, I know, but people are going to conflate the two.
Yeah, they will. So my question now becomes: okay, does the employer still have to pay federal taxes? Because the employer typically pays a portion of your taxes for Social Security and for what is it, Medicare and all that stuff. There's a percentage of that. It's like 7%.
I think what he's making this is non-taxable income.
Yeah.
Well, for the employee, so the
classifying.
company doesn't get any benefit on the tax side of it, just the employee. Because the company still has to pay a portion of those taxes.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a written
That'll be
bill
interesting
for
to
it
see.
yet.
So, okay, we'll find out. Now, here's Tim. Tell your story really quickly because this is
Well, at Fox,
impact.
I'm going to say it's good Trump, so I'll run the sticker here.
Yeah.
it's nice to be the one pushing the buttons.
Well,
right?
we have to utilize it, right?
That's true. We made it.
At Fox, they had a policy: if you're freelance, you were limited to about 2,000 hours a year, so you couldn't work more than 38 hours a week. When I was freelance, I hit that in less than half a year, probably like 5 months, because of all the overtime I was pulling.
Yeah.
So they had to make me full time. And when they made me full-time, I was almost doubling my salary because of all the overtime I would put in. I just would work 16-hour shifts every day. So it allows
As full-time?
Yes.
But you were still hourly.
Still hourly.
Okay, yeah.
You still got overtime. It makes your work week, if you're willing to put in that effort, it even makes your 40 hours more effective. Like if you put in 50 hours, then those 10 hours that you put in are more effective. You get paid more for it. So that's why I think it's a good policy.
Okay, well, we'll see. This could incentivize companies to put people on payroll and or make them salary and just take advantage of them.
Or, I mean, I busted I wouldn't have
Why
to
don't you look at me?
Put so many. I wouldn't have had to put so many hours in too. You know, I could have actually had a life, but
Well, you chose not to.
I chose not to.
And you got paid well for it.
Well,
there's
yeah,
incentives. I get
and
it.
I paid more taxes.
Yeah, right. Aw.
So flush the money down the toilet.
It doesn't flush the money down the toilet. You
Yes,
pay
it
taxes
does.
on all the income that you make. You just
Yes,
made
but
more.
I could have not paid the
Oh,
taxes.
gosh.
Paying taxes.
Taxation
That's
is
the
bad.
explanation.
I don't like taxes.
I mean, we did this-
It's fine.
We did this equation with a $5,000 overtime variable when I think that's a low.
What happens
Probably-
when
so
it's
the-
30
the
reason,
grand?
right? But the
Yeah.
reason that we put that in there is because that's the amount that would take you right. Like it seems like a standard amount to do easy math on, and that takes you from
the
one
next
bracket to the next
Yeah.
bracket.
Yeah,
All right, all right, let's move
yeah, you're
on.
right.
We'll see how this goes. I think there's some debate on whether this is actually good for the economy versus politically good. There is no debate. It's very politically good. It's a smart move by Donald Trump, and it will be copied by Kamala Harris very quickly.
I do want to. It got passed over real quick, but I do think it's great for union people. I think it'll help them.
Yeah.
It'll
it
make
is.
them want to vote for Trump more.
Let's bust the unions up after that, though, okay? Because you guys don't like them either.
Public sector unions,
yes.
private sector unions, or
Well, maybe. We'll see.
sometimes.
So the other thing that he talked about yesterday was that he was not going to do a third debate. He did this on True Social. He says, when a prize fighter loses a fight, the first words out of his mouth are, "I want a rematch." All caps. Polls clearly show that I won the debate against comrade Kamala Harris. The Democrats' radical left candidate on Tuesday night, the Democrats' radical left candidate on Tuesday night, and she immediately called for a second debate. Okay, sorry, I paused in the wrong spot there. She was a no-show at the Fox debate and refused to do NBC and CBS. There will be no third debate. But for all you mug clubbers out there, you'll be really happy to hear this. There's gonna be a game of Spot the Tranny. It's a tranny. Dominating
I don't even know how-
3-0.
I don't know how Kamala
She's
got
not
that
even on the
wrong.
scoreboard yet. All right,
my
so
vote.
I think this is good Trump.
But
Good Trump. Right? So my thought on this, and let's just give you some of the polling after the debate. On immigration, Trump 56, Kamala 33. On the economy, Trump 55, Kamala 35. That's a walk-off. Role as commander-in-chief, 49-43 for Trump. Like, these are really good numbers for Donald Trump post-debate, right? And then a big poll that they did, are you better off now than 4 years ago? 57% no, 37% yes. And he is still way outperforming where he was in 2016 and 2020 at this time. In so many demographics, Kamala Harris is one of the worst Democrats that they have had in forever, in the black vote, and so many other voting subsets, categories. So let me give you why I think it's a good idea for him not to do this debate. I think he's got cover, and I don't think it helps him at all to do another debate with her. We talked a lot about this after the debate, and maybe my position on debates was evolving. I feel like you can do what he did to Joe Biden very, very rarely. When we look at election turning debates, we had to go back into like the 80s and 90s to try to find some examples of key moments, right? Or actually, I think it was the late 80s or early 90s, and then we had to go back to Nixon.
Kennedy.
And Kennedy, yeah. Like, we had to go
Kennedy,
back
Nixon,
to,
yeah.
like, a long time ago to find those key moments where debates really did seem to make a huge difference. And I think access to information kind of makes debates a little bit less necessary, though I still want them. I still like hearing what the candidates have to say and kind of sparring back and forth a little bit. I don't like the debate format that we have where the media basically is a fact checker on one of the candidates, always the Republican surprise. But I don't think it helps him. And I think it does give her an opportunity to keep punching at him and the media to keep running bad stories about him when he is doing very well. And here's the cover that he has. This is what Trump should say to Kamala Harris. Oh, you want more debates? I proposed that originally. You said no. We're doing the debates that you agreed to. And you know what? Why don't you go out and talk to the press? Because you haven't talked to them in 59 days or whatever the number is right now. Why don't you go host a press conference? That might be a good way to do this. Why don't you go take some adversarial questions and go to organizations that don't love you? Maybe go talk to the NRA. See how they ask questions of you. I think Donald Trump can easily pivot off of this debate thing And nobody's going to care about whether he does a debate or doesn't do a debate after this, in my opinion. Politically, don't think it hurts him. I think he's got all the cover in the world he needs. Lane, you disagree?
Yeah. Tim, I'm going to say this is less good Trump.
Less good Trump. Nice guy.
And I think it's less good and not bad because I can understand where he'd be very hesitant to enter into another debate, especially after the way that he was treated by the ABC moderators. We all know
that's fair.
He was fact-checked 4 times, her 0 times.
There's some rumors about questions in advance stuff. Who knows?
Yeah, and they ask her to follow up, or they ask him to follow up a lot on stuff. They never asked him. So I get where you'd be very hesitant. Now, when you said, well, he already proposed the debates, okay, but that's the reality we lived in before. Now, unfortunately, we live in the reality where this debate did happen. So there is a certain, I guess, narrative building around him. And yes, he's leading on things like the economy, and he's leading on things like immigration, and that's great if every voter voted like that. But there are certain voters that vote on things like who looks more presidential, who has hope for the future. There are people that do that. And so I think it would behoove him to do another debate. The very least he could do is propose more debates again. He could be like, okay, yeah, let's do another one. But this time, since we had it on your network with your moderators, why don't we do it on a neutral network, News Nation, let's do it on Fox, wherever. You pick a moderator, I'll pick a moderator, and we'll do it. Make her say no to it. Make her say no, because she's not going to agree to very basic conditions. And building on that, I agree, he doesn't really lose much from the debate. I don't think he lost a lot, even from the ABC debate. What he did do is lose golden opportunities to do better. He didn't get worse, but he left opportunities on the table to get better.
Yeah.
And I kind of make this comparison. If you're working out and exercising every day and you're sleeping and eating right, that's great. You're going to be healthy. Nothing bad's going to happen. But if you're not taking your protein shake, you might be leaving some gains on the table that you could have. And it's as simple as drinking a protein shake. For him, a second debate is as simple as going back, looking at your game film and saying like, oh my God, I missed such an easy opportunity here. Let's take advantage of that. Get her back in front of me. Let's let the people see.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Josh?
Well, you guys both make good arguments, and both smart guys. But it's you guys think about it very heavily. And me, as a member of the intelligence deficient community, I see this more like when I see this, I'm going to go with less good Trump, because I see it as
Less good Trump.
like he's been this dude that's been a champion of the FU. Like he's been, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do everything. I'll do every interview. I'll go into a hostile environment and do an interview. I'll go into a hostile debate. Yeah, you got your rules, Biden? Cool. Let's do it. Kamala, you got your own thing. ABC, moderators suck. I'll go into that den. And now he's like not doing it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like he's always been the guy that's like, I don't care. I'm doing it anyways. And we're like, hell yeah, dude, you rule. And now he's like, well, I'm not going to do it. It's like, what? You kind of rule for doing them all.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I can
It's
understand.
kind of a simple take on it, but I think a lot of people
We
are
like to
like
fight.
me. They're not as smart as you guys, and they do take life decisions very simplistic.
Well, maybe it's true that he loses something from that enthusiasm.
I don't know if it affects polls or voting. I still think that those the dum dums like me are going to vote for who they think is better anyway, and I don't think this changes it much. But
yeah, I don't think the debates sway a whole lot of minds. I think it can.
I do think there are
have some impact, but
intelligentsia folks, intelligent people.
I think it riles up the base, and so that's really what it's all about: is getting people to turn out to vote, right? So if you can get that was the problem with Biden. Biden wasn't losing the support of his party; he was losing their enthusiasm.
You don't need to rile up the base, though. You need to get the independents and the people that.
Well, but are there really independents? All the independents tracked with Republicans, so they're not technically independents. Like it's this kind of thing where it's like you really if Donald Trump says the wrong thing, you're going to go vote for Kamala? I don't think that's really how this is going. Like maybe people are saying they're independents, but
I think they're looking for a reason to not vote for Kamala. I think there's a lot of people out there that are like, I need to see a reason, and then he gets up there and he starts doing the dogs and cats thing, and they're not buying it, so they're like, oh, this is But he goes back and he tightens it up a little bit, chooses his words more carefully. Even if it is true, the dogs and cats. Yeah, I'm not trying to make a point there, but
by the way, dogs and cats merch shop.
They're eating.
We need to get like a meme shirt for the for the dogs and cats.
Yeah.
We need that. By the way, we have some great shirts at CrowderShop.com. Make sure you go there right now. We have the Trump versus everyone. We have. I think there's like a Fighting Irish Trump, which is better than the current Fighting Irish football team right now. If he just played them by himself, I guess maybe we'll.
Are we selling
win
it now?
Purdue.
That's a
maybe it's
St.
old.
Patty's Day one.
Yeah, it was a St. Patty's Day, but why wouldn't we sell it year round? I don't know. Maybe go check it out. See what we've got. CrowderShop.com. It's a great way to support us and let your freak flag fly.
Hey, if you like this video, you can comment below. We always appreciate your feedback. Or click one of these, which will be similar as far as rebuttals, claims, truth. Maybe it changed my mind. Or sometimes we talk about the difference between men and women, how dogs are different from cats, airline food. No punchline, just premises, because this is the internet in the 21st damn century.